Yo, it's good YouTube, this is Angry and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to basically get the current user. Like just for example, if I go over here, this is the current user. And right now, I'm just going to be continuing from the last thing that we're doing, that basically we're doing the login page. So why am I doing this? Basically, why am I getting the get current user? The object of the user basically is so if we go into the login page, right now you're going to find out that the login page basically just redirected me into the home page, even if I tried to access the login page. So that is basically what we're going to do right now. We're going to be restricting the login page to basically not be accessible by any other user in this URL. So let's start by basically, I have some tasks over here uh, that I just have it in the to do. This is just the old project I made, and this is the new project. So the tasks are for today basically are going to be three things. We are going to be basically talking about and also coding the get current user, which is basically going to be an object for the current user. We're going to be using something called history, using a hook called useHistory from react-routerdom version 5. I was gonna use version 6, by the way, you guys, but the problem with version 6 is that Ionic does not support version 6. So if you're using any other framework than Ionic and you're following this tutorial, you also are using like the react-routerdom version 6. All you need to do is just, instead of history, use something called useNavigate. So that is just an advice for anyone that is using a react-routerdom version 6. But for this tutorial, we are good because Ionic already comes with an Ionic React router, but it only supports until version 5. So do not try to update that to version 6. That will break you. It will break the application. Alright, so and number 3, basically we wanna check for the current user. Alright, utilizing an async function and utilizing also useEffect for mixing that with the async function that we're basically going to be, if I go into my old project over here, let me show you an example. Alright, if I go into the login page over here, so we're just going to be using the check current user over here. So actually let's start coding, and let me keep the old project to the side because again I don't want to make this video really long for you guys. I want to make this as short as possible. So let me just close this and put it to the side next to this one. Alright, so I just need to close this Explorer. Yep, here we go. Alright, so let's start with writing the asynchronous function for the get user. So if we go into the API docs for the Back4app, Back4app get current user docs. So if we just go over here for React, the version is for React because we're using React TypeScript. So first off, we want to retrieve the current user. As you can see over here, there is a example that is mentioned over here. So we're going to do something like the example that is over here, right? So first off, let's do the get current user async function start, and we could just get a const that is going to be called get the current user, and that's going to be an async. You could do an async function. We can also do an async arrow function. All right, we're going to do a const that is going to be current user, and we're going to be assigning that to a parse. We're assigning that to a namespace of parse.user, and that is going to be equal to parse dot actually we need to pass in the await. I am sorry, just 1 second. Yep, we need to pass in the await, so it's going to be await parse dot user dot current user and dot current, I'm sorry. All right, so right now we just passed in the over here, we passed in the await over here, and we want to also pass in the promise. And why we are doing this, if we check out the tasks over here, the documentation over here, you're going to find out that we're setting the current user as an object, and user acts like an object in Back4app. So basically we just need to set the parse current user to just a parse.object over here that is basically gonna get the current user over here with the get current user. So the async arrow function that we're gonna mention over here, the get current user, is basically gonna be assigning the current user to current user over here, and also setting the state action over here for the set the current user. So basically we're gonna refresh the current user by using set current user. And what else? That is pretty much it. So that is the tasks if you wanna check it step by step. So let's actually get these steps over here and put it over here. So we could put these steps just right next to us. All right. So we did not add this. We did not add the useState basically that we're going to be updating the current user to. But I want to finish the async function, and we're going to get to that, right? So we could just mention that for now. So we're just going to do a const that is going to be current user, and again setting the state action to set current user, and that's going to be taking useState, basically again a parse dot object, because a user here is treated as an object, and we're going to be passing in the namespace of null, and that is pretty much it. All right, so let me just close this up. So we go back over here, and basically what this is saying over here, this if statement, it's basically saying that if the current user is not null, basically that it's not empty. So if the current user is not empty, all right, so what is happening? If the current user is not empty, we want it to basically alert. So we don't need to use this alert. We could use what's it called? Yep, this alert. And basically it's just gonna be some normal brackets afterwards, and then it is gonna take successfully the current user is, and then we're just gonna do a plus, and that is gonna be basically something really simple. Actually, we're gonna do a comma, and inside that comma we're gonna do backtick, and inside that backticks we're just gonna call in the current user over here, and then get the, you see this get that we're using over here. Basically, this is the it needs to be inside the parentheses over here. So let me just remove that. It's gonna be .get, and basically inside that .get we're gonna pass in the string that is gonna get us the object for the username. All right, so it seems that just we have a syntax error. We're just gonna fix that. So why is it getting this error? It is probably because we're using double quotation strings over here. So let me just change those. All right. So what are we doing right now that is not correct? All right, we're not passing in the promise, as you can see over here. We're not passing in the promise, so we're just gonna do that. We're just gonna pass in the promise, and then we're gonna do parse. All right, and that's gonna be parse.user, and basically we're just doing if the parse user is not null. So basically it's just an extension of the type over here, right? But we're getting some errors, so let's check out my old function that I wrote over here. So what is the problem with this function that I have that is in front of me over here? All right, so we do not need this if statement. We could just remove this if statement. So basically we could just remove this, and we just mentioned the await, so we're just gonna do the set of the current user, and if that is just gonna be to the current user itself. All right, so if we set the current user to the current user, and then we're gonna return the current user. All right, so basically we're just updating the state variable over here that's holding the current user over here using the set current user. So we're just gonna remove this, all right, because we don't want this to be like written 2 times. But I was just checking the error. So this is how I wrote it before. Basically, this is how you get the current user. So we can try right now and assign this to a function and see what this is gonna bring us, all right? So we could just do a comment over here and do debug, and do console.log and then current user, and then go downwards over here and just afterwards over here, just after the text over here, you could do an ion button and just do on click, and then the function name, which is basically get the current user. All right, so let's go to our application over here, and your application is going to be running on localhost 8100, so don't worry about this. I have my old application open here as well. So as you can see, we have a new button over here. So if I just add in the rest of the tag over here and just add in over here get user, for example, you're gonna find out that the button over here says that it gets the user, so we're just gonna get the user over here and we're gonna see what the console is gonna bring us. All right, so right now the item is null, so that is fine. So basically right now we do not have anyone logged in the user. So let me just get a username from the Back4app database over here. We just need to log in with the user itself. So I just need to get just any credentials that I have over here. So I have the user over here that I signed up before. And I'm just gonna go back to my application over here, right? All right. So the user is logged in right now. So if I get the get user right now, it's gonna give us an error. But if we, all right, so let's check out what the error itself is giving us. Right. So on login, TypeScript line 50, it is basically telling us that the parse.user.current is not a function. All right. So let's check out the old code that I wrote and the new code. Let's check out where is the error, right? So if I go back over here, it is going to be a wait. Oh, all right, so we did not pass over here the null. All right, so we just need to pass in the null and refresh that, get the user. And as you can see right now, after refreshing, we can get the parse user right now on the page with this ID. All right, so we just needed to pass in the null over here type, as you can see for the user. It's just an attribute over here. So basically it's just null. And we have the user ID right now shown. All right, so we did the first task over here. Basically, we just made an arrow function, an async arrow function that returned a promise with an interface to complete the async operation, basically a promise interface. So it just bear in mind, if you do not pass in the promise over here, it's not going to complete the async function. So basically the asynchronous operation of the async function over here is not going to be completed, and it's going to give you an error over here that the promise is pending. So that is why we're passing in the promise over here as an interface. Okay, so we also passed in, as you can see, in the namespace, we need to pass in the namespace null, as you can see over here. And we also created a new user that is gonna take the await, and we passed in the current user state variable to the set current user, and we also need to just return the current user, and that is what we did over here. So let me remove task number 1. All right, and let me go into my readme over here and let us go to number 2. All right, so right now we also need to do something that is just gonna update the login values over here. So basically, as you could see over here, the login over here, what I'm trying to say is that we're gonna be updating the login over here by something called handle login. We do not need to do this. This is optional, but it is very crucial for a step that basically is very simple. So if I enter the username over here and just do uh, login, for example, all right, it is going to give us an error found parse 200 username email is required. So you can just use this error, or you can also handle this error gracefully. So this is optional, you don't need to do this. So if you just want to handle this error over here, again, this is optional because already Parse gives you an error when somebody does not provide the username and email, but you can do one yourself, like as this example that I read over here. So basically this is just saying if the username value is, let me just get that out of here. If the username value is empty, please alert that the user that to enter the username and the password, right? So let me just remove that. And we don't need this, all right? All we need to do right now is just continue over here. All right, so basically right now we need to push the user to the login page, to the home page actually. So if there is a user logged in, we want the login page to redirect us to basically the home page. So let's do that over here. But in order for this to work, we're gonna need to do two things. Like I said, we need to utilize something called useHistory, as I did before in the example over here. So we could just use useEffect, and something called the current async. So basically, if we go into the current async over here, and we just search current async docs Back4app, async storage over here, async storage Back4app docs. So basically, this is something for React Native. It is an encrypted asynchronous persistent key value, as you can see over here. It is global to the app, so it is basically used instead of the local storage. So basically, that is what we're doing over here. It is a unencrypted asynchronous persistent key value storage system. All right. So if you guys want to check out more about the asynchronous storage that I just mentioned over here, we could basically just check out something over here that is very simple. We could just go into the user async storage over here that I just mentioned over here. And basically this is just like a React Native example over here, but we're not going to be doing that. Basically, we're not going to be using the React Native example. We're just going to be using the current async over here storage that is basically in the Ionic also as well. And what's strong about this is basically that the current async can hold all the like the current user values over here globally, so the application itself performance is going to be better. And finally as well, that data itself is going to be easier to be accessible. It is not the best security measurement because the async storage is not encrypted. So if you want to do a more security like type of application, I would recommend you to use just something else than the current async storage over here. All right, so let's continue from number 2, okay? So in order for us to push the current user, we need to actually pass the current user over here. All right, we need to pass the object data to it, and in order for us to do that, we're going to be using the useEffect that is over here. So I'm just going to keep that to the side, and we're just going to be coding that over here again. Okay, so we're just going to be importing useEffect over here. All right, and we're just going to be doing a useEffect and opening up a normal bracket and another normal bracket that is basically an arrow function, and just do the arrow function syntax and a parentheses and open that up. And let's just check out what we're doing over here. As you can see over here, right now I'm doing on the left side over here a current user. So we're just gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna be doing a check the current user, and I have this on the side just to explain what I'm basically doing. Okay, so again, I'm just assigning a async arrow function over here, and I'm gonna be doing a try, then catch, and that is gonna be the error. Okay, and then we're gonna console.log error has been found in check current user, just to know what we're talking about. And then we're just gonna add a plus and then the error itself. Okay, so over here in the try itself, since we are doing an async function, so we're just gonna be doing the await. So we're gonna be getting the user, and we're gonna be assigning the current. So actually just make a user, and we're gonna await the parse dot user dot current async, and that refers again to the current local storage. And then we're gonna pass in the current user to the parse object. Okay, again, parse user over here is like a parse, it's like an object. So that is what I'm doing right now. We're just passing in the parse user over here to the local storage, and then to the current user over here. Okay, and then we're just basically gonna do this if statement that is over here. And if you understand this if statement, it is very simple. All it says is basically, so if the user is not empty, so if the user is not equal to null, just add in a second argument that is going to be basically also if the user is exactly undefined, we want to basically do something called history dot push and dot just push and normal brackets, and then push to the home page. All right, so basically what this is saying is if the user is not empty or is not defined, please push it to the home page. And to use this history and remove the error that is over here, we're just gonna be importing history over here using something called the useHistory hook. Okay, so just to do that, we're just gonna be doing a const of history that is gonna be equal to useHistory, and you import that just from react-router, and that is gonna be just a normal function. All right, and as you can see, the error is gone over here. Okay, what else do we want to do? Or we want to continue our if statement over here. Else, if the current user is not equal to null, all right, we also want to refresh the user by basically setting the current. So we don't actually need to do this, so we could just do an if and just do set the current user to the user. Okay, so what I just did is I just set it the current user using the set state action that is over here, and we passed in that to the user that is over here. So basically what I just did is that I set it the current user that is over here to the user that is over here that has been set it new. So basically we're just going to be checking out if the current user right now is logged in or not. Okay, so just to do that, one last thing, we're just going to be returning true over here. So basically returning true, and after the catch we just want to return a false, and let's test that out. Okay, alright, so is there anything else we need to do over here? Let's go and check that out. Alright, so if you go into the application over here, so right now the user is logged in and the application is still not passing in to our home page. First of all, let's just double check our home page if it's there. So the home page is there, so I'm just going to change the text that is over here and I'm going to call it home page, and I'm just going to go back over here and check out the code that I made over here. Okay, so basically I'm just going to go back to over here and check out what I did over here. So I think I just forgot to added this else that is over here, so I'm just gonna do that. So let me remove this over here. So I'm just gonna do else if the current user is not null, set the current user to user. Alright, return true, catch the error, and then console log the error, and that is the error. Actually, we did not need this, we did not need the else statement, we just needed to do this. Alright, so after the return false, we just needed to refresh the function by basically, yep, calling it into the useEffect. So basically we're assigning a const that is over here. So assigning an async function and then refreshing the check current user over here using useEffect. So if we go back to our application and let's go into the login page, check get the user. Alright, so as you can see right now, it's a little bit slow, but it actually just redirected us to the home page on its own. So let me just show you that again. Let me just restart uh, the page itself. I'm just gonna format the document. So let me just restart the server. It is redirected us, but it's just going a little bit slow because maybe I have just another server running right now. So I'm just gonna give it a little while, so bear with me, guys. I'm just restarting the server over here. Alright, and right now, if we go over back here, I want to go into the login and just see what's it gonna do. Alright, so as you can see, it just redirected us back to the home page. So if I go into localhost over here, it's just gonna get us back to the home page. All right. On Firefox, it is not working because right now we just don't have the user logged in. So let me just log in over here. All right, I just want to make sure of the credentials. So if I log in, all right, so I'm just going to get in the credentials that I have over here and just log in. All right, let's see what's happening in the console right now. All right, so we got the logged in user. So if we get the user, it is right now, as you can see, just redirected us to the home page. So right now, if we go to the login page again, it's just going to redirect us to the home page. So that is pretty much it for the getCurrentUser. I'm going to be continuing on in the video later on at the end of the parts of how to basically restrict the users from accessing the application, because there is an issue with this right now. Basically, right now, if somebody is like logged out, like he can just go and like do home and just access the home page. So we're gonna do that at the end, but as you can see right now, we can't access. To fix the issue that we have right now, which is basically, just to recap, if we go into the login, you're gonna find out right now we don't have any user logged in. So we don't want any user to just go into the home page directory and access the home page without being logged in. So to do that, we just are going to copy the code we just did into the login page, and we're just going to copy that into, so we're just going to copy this, the current user, and the useEffect, the history, everything we just made just to get the current user in this video. So we're just going to copy and paste this and put it into the home page like I did over here. But I didn't copy and paste the exact code because I have the code that's over here is a little bit different. Let me tell you why that. Alright, so in the login page, basically we don't want the user to be not logged in. So basically over here, if the user is not empty, we want the history to push it to home. So basically, if somebody is logged in, we want it to just push it to home. But over here, we want something different. We want, if the user is empty or the user is undefined, we want the page to be pushed back to the login. All right. And again, we don't need this else statement over here. We just need to set the current that is over here. All right. So afterwards, we don't need this else. So let me just remove this else and just put it over here. Afterwards, we want to return true after the else if statement. So if there is also any error with the catch over here, we also want to return a false. And finally, we just want to get the current user. All right, so let me just Control Z, check out if there is anything else we want to do. Nope. All right, that's pretty much it. All right, so let's try right now to go into our home page over here. And right now it is still working, so let me just Control Z everything. And there is just a little bit of a minor issue. Let me just try and do that over here. Get the user is empty, then go into home, and as you can see over here, it's just redirecting us back to. So we do need to add this else if also as well, but it is not the best way to basically like do another if statement in an already existing if statement. We don't want to do nested if statements, so we could just take this else if current user is null. Let's set the current user to null. Let's check out if that works. And all right, so that is not gonna work, so we're just gonna leave that for now. That is not the best method, but however it is working for now. But if we go again to the home page, you're gonna find that basically we are not gonna be able to log in unless we log in our credentials into the system. So if we test the page, let's try and do that. Alright, so we have the user logged in right now. So what is happening? We just want to make sure that everything else is working. Let me just close everything over here. Go back into our login page. Alright, get the user. Alright, refresh that. And as you can see right now, it is working. So we want to do one last thing. We just want to add in a logout button in the home page. And to do that, I'm just going to show you the documentation of Back4app. So Back4app docs and then logout. You're going to find that it is actually fairly easy. So if we Back4app, let's just go into the logout. So we just want to get the logout function, async function. Where is it? There is the login component, and we want to get the logout. Yep, here it is. So I just needed to get this. That is what I was looking for. So let's just write the logout, right? So we're just gonna do a const and handle logout, and that is gonna be an async function that is gonna return a try, and then an await with the parse dot user dot. Alright, we just want to make sure that this is outside the useEffect, you guys, so I'm sorry for that. We'll try await parse dot user and then dot logout, and then verify if the current user is empty. Verify if the current user is empty. So we're just gonna do, and this is the JavaScript example, so we could just check out the TypeScript example. So that is what was missing, is just the promise that it's basically gonna handle the async request and complete it. Alright, so we're just gonna return a boolean with it. And where is the Alright, so where are we getting this from? Alright, so let's continue. We want to add in a catch, that's why we're getting the error. So we could catch error and then just console.log the error and just check out again what we're doing wrong. So we could do this, copy and paste, but we want to do it ourselves. We're just going to check out what we're doing wrong over here. Alright, so we're passing in the async function and the promise as a boolean, and then we're passing in the try and await the logout, catch the error. I think that is where is the error, so we just want to assign the current user, const the current user, that is going to be parse.user, and then await the parse.currentUser, which is alright. Right, one last thing. We also want to add in the if statement that is over here. So basically what this says is the current user is null, alert success that there is no user logged in anymore. And we want to catch the error and then return. We also want to update the state variable. So we're just going to get the current user. Alright. And one last thing, that is just going to be returning to true. Returning to true. I still do not understand why my function. Alright, so it just needs to return the last statement, that is going to be the return of false, and we're going to get that error fixed over here. Alright, so let me remove that, console.log error, and just error has been found in handle logout. Alright, so we just finished out handling the logout, so let's just create the logout button over here. And what we're supposed to be expecting is that basically this ion button over here is going to take the onClick and we're going to pass the function to it. So we're just going to be handle logout. We're going to give it the color of danger, which is basically going to be red. And one last thing, we could also add in over here an ion icon of like icon. Let's check out, can we add in like a door or like a log? Let's check out the ion icons. Go back to our app. We're not going to see anything right now because I didn't save the page, so we just want to get a door or like a logout. Yep. And that is called logout outline. Alright, so log out outline. Alright, let me actually just import the icon or import logout. Why is it not? Alright, so let's just check out the icon. Let's just get the usage over here. I just want to remember you guys how to import an icon. So let me just get that from the old project that is over here. So again, I don't want to waste your time by searching a lot. But let me show you an ion icon. Where is it? Where is it? Let's check out the to-do. Tester. Yep, here it is. And we just wanna put that over here. And yeah, now it's working. Alright, so log logout outline, for example, we could take this icon and then we're just going to add it to the button over here, and that is going to be a log, come on, log out outline, and just add in log out over here. All right, go back to our application, and we're also going to give it an expand equal to block, which is basically going to make the button on to full screen. Okay, so go back to our home page over here, and if we press log out, no user is logged in anymore. There was no user found, please log in, and that is pretty much it actually. So the user is now logged out. If we go back to our login and just get the user is empty, as you can see right now. And if we go back to our home page, we are not able to access our home page as well. All right, so that is pretty much it for part number 3, you guys. Again, in the next video, we're going to be starting creating the, and in the next video, you guys, basically, we're going to be starting creating the CRUD application, which is basically going to be creating, updating, and deleting the tasks. So let me show you an example that we're doing, what we're going to be doing in the next video. So if I go into my old project over here, and I'm just going to go into the tester tab over here, basically we're going to create a new task, and that is going to be called anything like just eat a meal, and then eat some pancakes, and then eat breakfast, for example. So if I just add the task, you're going to find that the task has been added over here. All right, with the custom to-do object over here. And if we refresh the tasks over here, it is basically going to show me some of the tasks that I just assigned over here. Okay, this is just an old task. So if I refresh it again, it's just gonna basically show me the tasks that I am using for that I have assigned before. Okay, all right, so basically this is what we're gonna be doing in the next video. We're gonna be creating and reading the task application, and then we're gonna be displaying also the information that is over here. And finally, we're going to be also doing an update that is over here, that we're going to be updating the tasks also if they are completed or not. And finally, also if you want to change a task to something else, that is going to be within the next 2 videos. I'm going to try to shorten this up as much as I can. All right, so I'll see you guys in the next video. This was AngularEDU, and peace.